Well, Josh, if someone has had shoulder pain for months and nothing seems to work, what would you want them to know?
I would want them to know, hey, don't give up. There's hope. You just got to find the right key to the lock, I guess, for lack of better words. So, get somebody to take a look at it, see what's really going on. It may need a different perspective. It may need some different
Yeah.
treatment. It may need, some different testing done, but don't give up. Pursue it.
Pain isn't just about one joint, one injury, or one bad day. It's your body asking for attention, and the right guidance can change everything. Welcome back to the Optimal Health Guide. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm here with Josh Vance, the Optimal Health Guide. Josh, how are things going for you this week?
Doing well. It's been a good week.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. Well, today we're going to be talking about a problem you identified that a few clients that you meet deal with. It actually affects more than just those few clients, but millions of people. Shoulder pain. A lot of people assume that if their shoulder hurts, that the problem must be directly in the shoulder. But you've explained that the body doesn't work exactly that way. Sometimes the place that you feel the pain isn't where the problem actually started. So today we're going to unpack why shoulder pain can be caused by issues in the neck or the upper back or posture, movement patterns, and even nerve irritation. So before we get to that topic, though, I just want to encourage people. What health questions do you have? What frustrations or topics would you like for us to discuss here? Because we would love to have your input help feed our conversation. So you could submit those requests at podcast. And then I also want to encourage you to like, follow, and share. If you're finding these conversations helpful, that's going to help us so much. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you've ever struggled with shoulder pain or you know someone who has, share this episode with them so that they can hear some of the Optimal Health Guide content along the way. All right, here we go. Question number one on the topic of shoulder pain. Josh, why is it that people automatically assume shoulder pain is a shoulder problem?
It's a fair, thought,
Yeah,
I
seems it.
hurt here. I must have something going on in my shoulder. I mean, when we hit our finger on something,
Yep.
finger hurts.
Yeah.
So it's a very normal thought to have when, an area or body part hurts, that we would assume that it's something we did in that very same area. And a lot of times, with the shoulder, it is, maybe it is a rotator cuff issue, or a bursal issue, or a tendonitis, or what have you. But it isn't always that. And there are times that when something else is going on that just makes you feel the pain in your shoulder because of that referred pain.
Yeah.
The origin being, somewhere other than the actual shoulder proper, but you're feeling it over there. The body's complicated, and
Yeah.
a person that hasn't had a lot of training in anatomy, physiology, or in healthcare, it's a very fair assumption that if a body parts hurts,
Yeah.
that's where it hurts.
Yeah. That's what I would be thinking. Yeah. Well, what are some of the common causes of shoulder pain that actually originate somewhere else?
One would be like a pinched nerve at your C5. That's going to refer pain right over here. If we had an axillary nerve injury, that could also cause some symptoms over here on the side of the shoulder too.
I haven't heard that term from you yet. Axillary nerve injury.
Yeah. So axillary nerve is a peripheral nerve. It's coming
Okay.
off farther down off of the nervous system. The nerve root is coming up very close to the spine itself. Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be one cause. Myofascial trigger points. We can trace different areas where a muscle can be referring pain. So there are
Mm-hmm.
some areas in the shoulder where a person might be feeling pain that's not necessarily truly shoulder, but more muscle that's kind of pushing that or creating that sense of pain there. Posture, certainly, if we have bad posture, that can affect, kind of the whole shoulder area, the
Yeah.
neck and shoulder being so closely connected to each other that, neck posture, shoulder posture, rounded, all those things together, creating muscle tension, tightness, pain that then kind of is in that whole shoulder area. And of course, like, the nerve irritation slash compression that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Those are probably some of the more frequent causes. of things that would create pain into the shoulder region.
Okay. Are one or two of those more frequent than others, or is it pretty equally distributed?
Probably more frequently is like kind of combination between the muscular, even after like people that had car accidents, they have all
Mm,
that muscle tightness
mhm.
causing that shoulder pain. So anything that can cause that, would be it car accidents or posture or any of that sort of stuff, or
Yeah.
even bad movement mechanics where we're, not using good shoulder mechanics. Maybe we've got something going on, weakness or whatever. We can't move it, so we're using the wrong muscles, and then that creates muscle tension. Those are that the whole muscular issue is probably the most common.
Okay.
Nerve irritation certainly happens.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I know another issue that we've been talking about lately in a few episodes have been desk work injuries that can happen. How can desk work contribute to shoulder pain?
Yeah, again, that's very much probably posturally related and or habitual. If we're, constantly looking at computers, monitors, looking down, doing paperwork, far less paper. Well, there's still a fair amount depending on what occupation you're
Yeah.
in. Writing, bad mechanics, having the mouse or using the keyboard, then we get a lot of that, probably more muscular onto our joint too, in the neck, and tightness, limited muscle mobility where the muscles just feel like tight and balled up, and someone comes behind you and pushes on your upper traps there, and they feel this big old knot, and you're like, oh my goodness, that
Wow.
hurts so good.
Yeah.
Very common
Hmm.
areas, but all that position and being there for a prolonged period of time, not changing positions, not stretching, all
Yeah.
those things kind of combine together to create and contribute to shoulder pain for sure.
Yeah. And I'd imagine too, for somebody working at a desk, do those symptoms develop slowly? And if they do, why is it they develop slowly?
Yeah, it's a gradual thing, very much so. We at first probably are okay with it, and but over
Hmm.
time, the habitual position, and I think sometimes it's definitely related to lack of stretching and lack of strength. The more we sit, the less we use other muscles, and so we slowly change. We adapt to the positions and the things that we do, be it a lot of exercise or no exercise at all, be it sitting in a desk or be it standing. Our body's going to adapt to those positions and those habits and the things that we do. And so, over time, we just gradually see more of a rounded shoulder position, more tightness. Sometimes the head forward, we get more tightness in the back of the base of the skull and in the neck, and then the joints start to get stiff. And so it all kind of builds and potentially compounds over time.
Okay. Gotcha. You've already mentioned a few ways that nerve issues can refer pain to the shoulder, but take us a little bit deeper. How do nerves contribute to shoulder pain?
Okay, so nerves from the spine, when we're talking about nerve roots, each nerve root gives us feeling in certain areas. Okay, so C5 tends to be right here in the shoulder. C6 is a little farther on the outside of the arm and thumb. C7 is mostly the middle finger. C8 is more kind of the small finger, the ring finger, part of the kind of lower arm on the inside, and then T1's a little bit higher on the upper arm. So those are called dermatomes, and those dermatomes are supplied by those nerve roots. Okay, so
Okay.
if we have a compressed nerve somewhere, that dermatome can be affected, and we can feel the symptoms in that particular
Okay.
area.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, at a C5, we tend to feel it right over on this area because that's
Yeah.
the referral pattern that it would normally get. Now, generally, when we begin having nerve issues, usually it starts as kind of a deep, dull, nagging ache, and
Okay.
then there it can become more like tingly, and then from there it can progress to becoming more of a numb feeling.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, of course, we can also have some sharp pain shooting there
Hmm.
too, but it's kind of the general pattern that nerve from lesser to more severe.
Yeah.
symptoms begin to happen.
What kind of symptoms should raise concern for somebody if they're experiencing any of those things that you mentioned?
Absolutely, like the numbness, tingling, burning even, over in a particular area that's it doesn't even have to be consistent, but because it frequently comes and goes when we're dealing with nerves. It's not always constant. It can be, but it's not
Okay.
always. So just the fact that you have that and maybe you've been having it for a little bit and it's continuing to be there, or maybe it's at first it was more of an ache and now it's more burning
Yeah.
and more consistent, or maybe not consistent, but now it's kind of gone from more of an achy, dull pain to more numb or tingly. Those are things that it would be good to get checked out. Certainly, if you have numbness, tingling, and you're feeling weaker, that's a big red flag
Mm.
that something
Okay.
more significant's going on that needs to happen.
Okay. What are some warning signs that shoulder pain isn't actually shoulder pain? You've already kind of like pointed out that it could be referred from a few different areas or types, but what are some warning signs somebody might want to pay attention to?
I would say, pain in the neck. If we have some pain in the neck, that could be generating some down. Pain, stiffness, both of those potentially, but particularly the pain. That tightness, that stiff feeling in the shoulders. If we're having weakness along with numbness, tingling, that definitely is a sign that it
Okay.
isn't necessarily the shoulder. Again, the numbness, tingling, burning, any of those nerve types of symptoms, those would be kind of red flags that is something. I suppose if you have pain that kind of is fickle and it changes places, one day it's in the
Mhm.
shoulder, one day it's in the neck, maybe it's somewhere else. When it's not always consistent, well, maybe there's more than one thing going on, but maybe also it isn't truly a shoulder problem too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different possibilities on that.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. Let's say that you could wave your magic wand and, I know you desire to help people, experience optimal health, but let's say waving your magic wand, people are responding and coming to seek evaluation. Is there a certain point that you wish people would come seek evaluation when they're experiencing something in this shoulder related issue?
Earlier, definitely, because it's always easier to get it handled earlier. When they've had it for some time, maybe it's from a case where they've been, fairly sedentary desk position, and they've got all these, you know, postural issues going on and stiff joints in the neck and muscle tightness, and they've had it for a prolonged period of time. It's much harder to change. It's harder to get those joints to be moving again. It's harder to stretch all those muscles in a short period
Yeah.
of time and to strengthen what needs to be strengthened. So earlier is always better. Same thing in the case of, maybe someone with some numbness and tingling in the arm sooner rather than later, where it's progressively worsened and we now have more severe symptoms. you
Yeah.
know Sooner would be easier generally to handle an issue than 6 months, a year down the
Yeah.
road, 2 years down the road. Sometimes I've even seen that.
Yeah.
So
That makes a lot
sooner
of
is
sense.
definitely better than later.
Yeah. Well, guide us through, let's say somebody crosses that line. They've now sought you out. They've gone through an evaluation. You're helping them. You're getting clarity on, it's not a shoulder issue. It's actually this. What does successful treatment look like when the problem isn't actually in the shoulder?
Well, I think it looks kind of like successful treatment elsewhere, where number one, they're feeling better,
Mhm.
fewer complaints of pain, less frequently pain, able to begin doing more of their normal daily routine activities, recreational activities. They are feeling stronger. They're having greater success being active. They have better range of motion. The mobility in the muscles is easing up. It's becoming more normal, more normal kind of tension, more muscle tone in the muscles. Maybe posture is improving. They're becoming more aware. They're doing their exercises. They've got it. They're buying in. They're doing it consistently. They've begun retraining the muscles that need to be kind of strengthened and learn how to hold our body in the correct position. Yeah, they're just having some good successes
Yeah.
moving towards that ideal of where they're able to do what they want to without pain and prevent it from happening again.
That's a beautiful picture. And I guess, again, some that I know that some people listening in are longing for. Well, Josh, a final question for you then is, if someone has had shoulder pain for months and nothing seems to work, what would you want them to know?
I would want them to know, hey, don't give up. There's hope. You just got to find the right key to the lock, I guess, for lack of better words. So, get somebody to take a look at it, see what's really going on. It may need a different perspective. It may need some different
Yeah.
treatment. It may need, some different testing done. But don't give up. Pursue it.
That's good. All right. Well, if you've been struggling with shoulder pain and you're just not finding answers, it may be time to look beyond the shoulder itself. You can go to our website, vancept.com. You can learn more there. Especially, I'd encourage you to check out the free consultation that is available there. Also, don't forget, if you're going to submit podcast questions, you can submit those at podcast.vancept.com. Thanks, everybody, for listening in today.